Okay, here we are, Matthew Russell Lee, Inner City Press, here across from the Southern District of New York Courthouse. Today, Friday, August 30th, 2024. The month is ending with a bang. Last night, the Trump team filed a 60-some page filing with Judge Alvin K. Hellerstein of the Southern District, who previously, in 2023, denied Trump's bid to have his state criminal case removed to federal court. That was the Alvin Bragg, Juan Merchan, Stormy Daniels case, which resulted in 34 convictions for business records. Well, now, in the run-up to the sentencing scheduled for September 18th, last night, Team Trump filed with Alvin Hellerstein in a case that on paper is listed as closed, but there it is. It's the same thing. I wonder if it could be wheeled out again. I'll get to that in a moment and cover it later today on X for subscribers. But he's filed with Hellerstein saying that his federal rights under the immunity decision should be determined in a federal court, saying that Merchan might put him in jail during the election right as early voting begins, and saying a variety of things. Now, what will Hellerstein do? I'm actually going to cover a case by him this morning, a different case. I wonder if he's going to require a written response by Team Bragg. He also cites the gag order, by the way. So we put it up last night. You can find that story. I'll move on because I've got to get in there to cover Hellerstein. There was also down in D.C. a bid by Steve Bannon to get out of jail, to be restored to bail, citing an en banc possible consideration by the D.C. the Court of Appeals for the District of Columbia. We filed that. We covered that as well. It's a short. It was a 4-month sentence, so he's going. But he has another trial down here that we'll be covering in December. And in crypto space down here, Ryan Salame. So yesterday, after Michelle Bond was indicted, Salame said he wanted to withdraw his request to withdraw his plea and let Michelle Bond litigate the issues of whether he or not he was promised that they wouldn't do anything against Michelle Bond. Well, Judge Kaplan didn't accept it, surprisingly. He said, you can withdraw whatever you want, but I'm still requiring the papers that I scheduled, and I'm requiring Ryan Salame to come to court on September 12th for the hearing, or he'll be put in jail even before his surrender date. So I think that, and I did something on this yesterday, it seems that Kaplan is Judge Kaplan, understandably concerned that Ryan Salame in his guilty plea allocution said there were no side deals, and then he immediately filed papers saying there was a side deal and it was broken. We suggested you can find this on Substack. There we go. He's going to have to say that his lawyers did that filing, because otherwise the two positions are inconsistent. And Judge Kaplan, as we saw in the SBF sentencing, is highly attuned to duplicity of those before him. Speaking of duplicity, Antonio Guterres, the junket that we've been covering, while we remain banned from the UN and they haven't responded. Today's the deadline. Those of you out there, anyone other than Inner City Press, if you want to cover the GA, put it in. It doesn't matter whether you write any articles or anything else. They'll let you in to cover the September General Assembly. They won't even respond to our application, despite writing more stories about the UN than the people they have in the briefing room. However, Guterres he flopped in Tonga, he flopped in Samoa, he sucked up to Ramos Horta, who asked about censorship but never followed up, in Timor-Leste. He's going to stop by Singapore, and then the big one, over the Labor Day weekend, he will be with Xi Jinping and for a moment, and then his real Chinese handlers. You see, Antonio Guterres, before he became Secretary General, was paid by the Gulbenkian Foundation. It was a year, and he needed some money. See, Gulbenkian, very nice, Lisbon-based. Gulbenkian is actually all funded by an oil company, which they then in turn tried to sell to the China Energy Fund Committee, which is a Chinese government arm that was engaged in UN corruption, UN bribery, convicted right here. That was never disclosed on Guterres' financial disclosures. We reported it. For that, we were roughed up, thrown in, thrown out, and it's going to come to a big climax, we believe, but part of which will be this weekend's coverage of Guterres in China. So until then, if we don't do a broadcast until Tuesday, have a good weekend. But you'll find us online, Inner City Press. To be continued.